Mr. Ramirez. Welcome.
Good evening, Mayor Dyer, members of the City Council. My name is Lyndon Ramirez. For those in attendance or watching at home, I am the City Auditor. I have been in charge of administering the independent investigation. This evening, we have Arnett Heinz, who's the CEO of Hillard Heinz, and Deborah Kirby, who has served as the project team lead. Their objective and purpose for tonight is simply their monthly status update. Mr. Heinz will get into the status of where they're at, as well as provide their estimated completion date, where they will present their full report. And the question we have been getting is, will the full report be made public? When they present the full report, that will be made public at the same time that council receives, as well as it will be posted on our website, vbgov.com/cityauditor, where all of our audit reports reside for those interested. Just a few comments before I turn it over. As the administrator of the contract, I do want to say the firm is doing an outstanding job under the circumstances. They have stayed in constant communication with myself, keeping me abreast of their status. They have in turn let me know that they have received full cooperation from city management and staff, as well as the employees in their request for documentation, their request for interviews, and anything they need to move on forward with their investigation. They have also done an outstanding job in working and reaching out with those family members that want to engage with them. And as they will touch on from the last status meeting, we have agreed and we made some discussions on the merit of doing a survey to the employees. So a survey has gone out to all employees just today. So it was in the work for a couple of weeks, but it actually went to the employees today in regards to a employee satisfaction survey similar to the one that the city does. This one is being conducted independently. They've engaged a third party. The results, the comments are going directly to the third party, and I have confirmed with our deputy city auditor, our deputy city attorney, that that information is not FOIAble. So we do encourage employees who have not either had the opportunity to share their concerns, share their issues previously, to please feel confident in taking that survey and sharing that information with the firm. So I'll turn it over to Mr. Heinz. And I do want to say, especially on this occasion, that as employees, certainly from my office, we will always remember the family, the victims, and hopefully both of these investigations is a step forward so we can have some closure. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Welcome, sir.
Good afternoon, good evening, Mayor, and City Council members. Thank you for having us here today. And Mayor, before I go into the comments, I'd like to make a reflection on your opening comments, which is exactly the point I'm glad you shared with the public. The investigation from the police department and our investigation are very distinct, but they do follow parallel paths. but there's no way that our investigation influences theirs or theirs influences ours. So just to reconfirm that on that statement, I appreciate you making that comment. It's been 68 days since our team started work here in Virginia Beach. Today is our second update for the victims' families, the citizens of Virginia Beach, the City Council, and all Virginia Beach employees. Since July 19th, our team has maintained a weekly presence here in Virginia Beach. As I mentioned last month, we've had a steady stream of calls and emails to our toll-free number and our public-facing email. To date, we have received approximately 132 emails compared to last month's number of 95, and approximately 65 calls compared to last month's status of 50. As I previously reported, our team hosted 2 community sessions, listening sessions, and 2 employee listening sessions. As a result of these sessions and from information developed through our investigative process, our team continually heard concerns about a wide range of topics and issues claiming that a hostile work environment potentially existed within city government. These issues included allegations that African American employees were being treated differently, that they were often more subject to discipline than their counterparts, that they were less likely to be promoted than their counterparts, that these employees felt they could not share their concerns with management for fear of retaliation. And overall, the employees and outside advocates that we heard from, we met with felt that management was creating a challenging and difficult work environment. Now, with that context as a background, we were attentive to those concerns. And many of those concerns were outside our original scope and mandate. Our team felt that the volume and nature of concerns raised might very well be impacting the overall workplace culture within city government. The concerns raised about a hostile work environment were in fact a key area of our investigation's focus as it relates to behaviors and motives that give rise to violence in the workplace. Consequently, we met with the city auditor, who agreed with our request to have us coordinate and conduct a fully independent survey of all city employees. Today, that survey, as Mr. Ramos announced, is being communicated and shared with all Virginia Beach employees. We would like to encourage all employees to participate in this survey, as this will end on October 13th. We need to run it for a couple of weeks to make sure that we get a full breadth of employee participation. And as you'll see later on, that's one of the issues impacting the timeliness of our report to you. To date, we've conducted 189 interviews. These have included 13 of the 16 families that we've met with from in this matter, and 121 scheduled employees interviews have been conducted. 85 of these interviews were for employees that were in Building 2. 22 interviews have been with members of the public. We've also been able to participate with 31 telephone interviews from individuals calling in on the hotline. And finally, we've been able to locate and interview various family members of the assailant. In regard to the deceased victims, we have been able to meet with 9 of the 12 families. Catholic Charities is assisting us with outreach to 2 of the remaining families. And one family, at their request, has passed on an opportunity to meet with our team. Of the surviving victims, 4 civilian victims, we have interviewed 3. And the remaining victim that we haven't been able to meet with is out of state, but we did have a chance to meet with his family. For next steps in the interview process, we have 43 additional employees in Building 2 that we've had some outreach and trying to coordinate a time to meet and participate with a meeting. And because the number of employees in Building 2, we're taking another step by sending out, I think it's next Monday that we're going to send out another anonymous outreach survey to them to allow all the employees in Building 2 to give us a response of issues that they were concerned with. So whether or not we've interviewed them or not, this is still an opportunity for their voice to be heard in this process. And we also will include in that survey an option for those employees to schedule an interview if they so desire. So we're doing all we can to reach out to the employees that we felt can add the greatest insight to us. And as I reported last month, we have received a significant volume of electronic communication and emails. I last reported that we had received over 50,000 emails, but that this number would likely rise. Well, it did. We now have over 335,000 emails. That's about 115 gigabytes and 6,500 documents composing of 2.62 gigabytes. And we are close to finalizing the analysis with this information. And we are on track to finalize our report in the coming weeks. As I'm sure you can appreciate, an investigation and an assessment of this magnitude has many known and unknown factors can influence the timeline. In this case, we've had 4 factors impacting our ability to deliver the report by October 15th, which was our original date that we were hoping to be finished by. And these 4 factors, the first is the overall level of outreach and engagement we've had with the public. A requirement from the police department around some reports and documents that all of the reports be reviewed on site in their department. Now, I will tell you that is that is a good practice to have that done. Our team was originally believing that we might be able to do some of that review at our corporate headquarters. But when we were engaged with the department and their request that we do all of the reviews on site, it's a best practice, and we concurred with that, and that's where the reviews took place. So that's not out of the line. And then the employee independent surveys that we're doing, and then last is the volume of data and electronic communications that we're currently analyzing. So these factors have extended our work by 3 weeks. So instead of a mid-October delivery, we've had discussions with the city auditor, and it appears that November 12th would be the best time for us to come make that final report. And we are working with the city auditor and Chief Cervera to coordinate a time with the families. We want to meet with the families first in a session where we're having a dialogue with the families, if they so intend to join us for that. But then shortly thereafter, we'll have an opportunity to present our report and high-level presentation for the public at a full council setting that you have here. And on the budget, that's the last item that we'll cover. You know, our preliminary project costs, we had a budget estimate of $389,995. To date, we've gone through about 90% of that budget, and there's been some issues that have impacted the budget that we cited earlier. But we're in discussions with the city auditor on that, and that should not be an issue for us whatsoever for us to stay on track to complete the work that we promised we'd complete for you. So that is my update for you, and I welcome any questions that you might have this time.
Any questions? Aaron.
Earlier you started off with, first of all, thank you for all the work that you're doing in our community as well to help us find some answers and solutions to that tragic day. Can you elaborate, or I don't know if I heard you correctly, about the concerns you are dealing with now as far as the work environment, African Americans?
Yep.
Can you go back over that?
Absolutely. So, you know, during the public community sessions, the outreach sessions that we had, as well as the employee listening sessions, there were voices that we heard during those public sessions and the employee sessions that made allegations and claims on the issues that I just addressed. We also, during some of our interviews in the investigative process, we had those same issues that were brought up to us. The voices were heard loud and clear, and given the volume of concern that we heard, the multiple occasions, we felt from our position as the group coming in, stepping in here, and especially as it relates to a potential hostile work environment. We're not judging whether there is or isn't one yet. But based on the fact that the claims were being made and we were hearing this, we felt compelled that we had to go to the city auditor with this somewhat of a step outside our original scope. It's an important step, and we're glad the voices spoke up, and there's been certain advocates that have been also working and addressing this issue. So I think it's a topic while when you hear all of those allegations, you want to say, okay, where's the substance behind it? And that's what we're trying to get to.
So are you limited in your scope of the investigation or not?
We're not limited in the scope of our investigation that relates to the issues that happened on May 31st. The issues that I outlined here may have a much broader impact that go well beyond May 31st. If those issues are outside May 31st, the mandate and scope that I received from the City Council was on the May 31st. It did not extend to the broader issues that I just addressed there. The important point I'd like to make, though, if it relates to a potential work environment that could have led to an act of violence, that is within the scope. And so that's what we're focused on. So if the scope were to go beyond Building 2 to other, then that would be an area that really would be outside the scope. That's why we're hoping that the employee workplace survey that we're doing will shed some insight. Because one of the issues that we heard as well, as you all are well aware, there was a March survey that was done of employee satisfaction. But then with the voices that came up, there were concerns that that survey may not have been anonymous, that it may not have been, employees may not have participated in it because they didn't feel comfortable doing it. So those are some of the issues that drove us to coming to the conclusion it was best for us to recommend to the city auditor that we allow, and we've got a third party that will not even share with us who, the sources of how they're getting the information. And I think it'll be, in our final report when we're prepared, we'll have some solid information to report back to the City Council for you to make an assessment and opinion of where things stand in your workforce.
Thank you. Okay. Rosemary.
Quick question. So the original survey that you did, and then you did one just for Building 2, when they come back, and I know they need to be anonymous, and I really get that, but it might be good to know if there are certain departments, so that if there was clustering of certain feelings, they could be. So was there a way that you track that?
Yes, we can give information to the survey team and try to track that, and I'll address that with our team to see what we can find out from the respondents of Building 2 to see if there's a way that we can track that information that comes in. But we're also doing a separate, and it might be best for us to do that when we send our own survey out, where we're going to have this team coordinate with us. But we're going to send this other survey out just to Building 2 next week. And so that would be the time that we could start focusing on that.
But you're doing one for all the employees.
Yes,
correct?
that one went out today.
And will you be able to tell where those respondents will be coming from, which departments?
Deb, is that right? Yeah.
Because I think that's important.
Yeah. So we can.
Demographics by department, so it distinguishes what department and division those employees work.
Right, in case there's a pattern of some sort, we need to know that.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So we have high confidence in the firm that we've selected, and we're confident that it'll be a comprehensive and thorough report.
Okay. Anyone else? Guy?
I know that you haven't been engaged to perform a complete review of all the security and safety issues in all the public buildings that Virginia Beach has. Believe me, I understand that. But I'm interested to know and would how you could see your report as a pathway towards such a study, and how much usefulness you believe your report may have in that regard.
We, from week one, we sent a team of our security specialists here to address that very issue. While Building 2 obviously was, a site that was secured and protected, and we did assess other buildings similar to Building 2 to come up with observations about steps that could be better practices to enhance security. So to your very point, we're not assessing every city facility, but we're going to be able to make some strong recommendations about best practices that could be implemented. And and then obviously we can be available to help guide in that direction.
Thank
So
you.
we are addressing that topic.
John?
I have a question regarding data rights. I assume the city retains the data rights for the data being collected by the third party, is that correct?
Yes.
And does the third party have to, at the end of the study, provide evidence that, or proof or written certification that they've purged all their electronic systems of the data and that we're the only repository of the data that was collected on our
Let me
behalf?
check with our team that's handled that. Deb, you have any insight in that?
Right now, it's, we contracted directly, sorry.
Oh, please come up to the podium.
Sorry about that. Hi, I'm Deborah Kirby, and the project team leader.
Welcome.
We have contracted directly with the survey company, and in terms of the destruction of data subsequent. But as far as the city retaining all data rights, that's not on the table right now, because of the way that the survey is being administered is that it's coming outside of the city environment, so the only thing that is being utilized is city email. And so your employees will respond to a link that will allow them to complete the survey, and then that survey then becomes the property, so to speak, of the consultant who does the analysis, and then we have the data destruction rights behind that.
So my question is, they do, at the end of the survey, they do have to certify that the data that they did collect
Yes.
was destroyed,
Yes,
is no
yes,
longer
yes.
resident. That was the heart of my
Yeah,
question.
yeah, and I'm sorry, I thought you were asking about where it was being retained.
No, just
But yeah,
when it's done, that it's removed and they can't further,
Right.
use it in larger studies, research,
No.
that kind of stuff.
No,
That's what I was-
and this is not a research firm at that level, and our engagement is one-off, and we are very cognizant of the PII concerns for employees.
Thank you very much for closing the loop on that. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks for your question.
Yeah, Sabrina?
You mentioned that you've already utilized 90% of the budget, with 10% remaining. Well, that 10%, do you believe, will enable you to complete your investigation?
You know, we're in discussions with the city auditor because there are there's a significant component of expenses that are somewhat outside. So the original $389,995 and our discussions was a project fee for professional services. So we're in discussions with Linden about that. There might be some incremental requests for expenses that could be outside that, and that's what my promise is we're going to finish the work that we started, and if we can work with Linden to figure out how to get other expenses accommodated for, that's really what we're driving for. So,
Thank you.
All right. Everyone else? Thank you for a very informative and most important report.
thank you, Mayor.